Shame on us. Shame for taking Kansas City with the points last night.
Oh, wait, hold on a second. Travis, that was before we knew Travis Kelce was going to be out. Because that changed for me. That 100% changed for me.
Us. How dare we doubt Dan Campbell and the never give up Detroit Lions?
Good, man. The Lions
what a
good.
Fun season opener. Good afternoon, everybody. A good Friday afternoon. This is the Southside Beat, episode number 9 on Friday, September 8th, 2023, a football Friday, the first football Friday of the regular season.
Oh, yeah.
My name is Corey Crisan. Joining me, as always, is Chris Halicke. I am back inside of the well-lit, sound qualitied, air-conditioned studio environment today.
Consistent internet.
Decent enough internet connection, close enough to the router. We're there. We're here. It is time for football season. Yeah, I know, Swan. My yellow background is missed. It's not the padding from inside of the complex. It is my beautiful canvas painting of my Blue Jays. You can name them if you want. You can name them if you want.
I actually heard that you can get that yellow padding installed in your apartment. It's probably a...
You're paying for it.
I'm definitely not. I got my own stuff to pay for in my own house.
You're paying for it, Chris. You're paying for it. A football Friday, Chris. Steelers-Niners coming up on Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern from Acrisure Stadium. The season opener that we have all been longing for and preparing for and just waiting for. It's finally here. Today's show is all about the game.
Oh, yeah.
What do the Steelers have to do to beat the 49ers?
Yep.
What happens on Sunday? Nick Bosa's back in action. The 49ers have a lot on offense. Chris, let's go general statements to start today. And, of course, we'll take the feedback from the crowd as well, from the nation that is chiming in on YouTube. But what's your general thought going into this game from a Steelers perspective against the 49ers?
The 49ers aren't as banged up as we initially thought they might be going into this game. Travarius Ward didn't practice yesterday, and so that all of a sudden makes it look like the 49ers might be a little weak on the secondary if he doesn't play. Obviously, George Kittle's groin injury has been lingering, so you're kind of wondering, does he even play? And if he does play, is he going to be limited? Is he going to be less than 100%? Is he going to be like George Kittle, like, holy crap, this is the best tight end in football when Travis Kelce's not playing? Or is he going to be kind of a shade of himself?
Mm-hmm.
But, with Ward, even with not playing yesterday, from looking into what the local reporters in San Francisco are saying, it looks like Ward probably still will play. George Kittle being a limited participant on Wednesday and Thursday. Obviously, we need to see what happens today, but if he's a limited participant all week, that would probably put him in the questionable state, and then maybe he plays. And so it doesn't look, and plus obviously the really big one, even though it wasn't an injury, Nick Bosa signs his contract. He's going to be there. He's going to play regardless of whether he plays 50% of the snaps, 70% of the snaps. Even if he plays one snap, he could change the game. So it just doesn't look like that this team, like the Steelers, might kind of get away with facing possibly a weakened 49ers roster. It looks like they're going to be playing them at near full strength, maybe not quite 100%, but near full strength, and it's just going to make the game that much more difficult.
Having Nick Bosa obviously changes everything.
It's a huge thing, yeah.
I don't think there was a doubt that Nick Bosa wasn't going to play, although, and TJ Watt talked a little bit about this after today's practice, it's that, Nick Bosa hasn't been practicing. He hasn't been with the team in training camp. And while a player of that caliber can get over that, so to speak, and it's not really going to affect his performance on Sunday, the real question for Nick Bosa is going forward through the season, these soft tissue injuries that tend to happen. How much of in shape is he really? So I'm not too concerned about a lower level, so to speak, Nick Bosa coming out. In fact, I expect a fully 100% Nick Bosa on the field. The question for me lies on the Steelers defense, which we have talked about at various points throughout this week, of going against that multi-dimensional, multi-layered 49ers offense.
Really good offense.
As Mike Tomlin said Tuesday, and I went back to this quote again, the 49ers can throw it short and run it long, which means yards after the catch, which means their running backs are able to get downfield, which means their wide receivers are really solid at working underneath as well. And this is a team that doesn't have a star quarterback per se when it comes to Brock Purdy. He's good. He's just not in your upper. He's not a Patrick Mahomes or a Josh Allen.
Yeah.
So the rest of this roster has to make plays for him, is what I'm saying.
Right. And so I think like I don't know if we want to do like keys to the game or anything like that. You know, we didn't have like a segment like that planned or anything, but I think one really big thing for the Steelers, somebody brought it up here in the comments that, you know, that they needed to take the ball away maybe a couple times in order to do this. Honestly, I think more than like, obviously, yes, like if you're a plus in the turnover department, then like that's always going to help you win. But I think the really big thing in terms of the entire course of the game, 60 minutes, is keep everything in front of you. Like the Steelers played that way, doing a throwback all the way to Super Bowl 40. But the Steelers did that when they played a high-powered Seahawks offense. They just kept everything in front of them, and you then limit the ability for the 49ers to do, number one, run after the catch, and you do a better job of limiting the big plays. It sounds like a conservative approach, and obviously nobody likes to hear the sound of that, but if you can hold the 49ers to field goals all day, you know, and keep them, you know, away from your red zone, then I mean, do that and definitely keep them out of your end zone. I think if the Steelers defense can go the entire game with keeping the 49ers out of the end zone, they can kick 6 field goals. That's fine. Keep them out of the end zone. Then you give your offense a really, really good chance against a really, really good defense. And so I think that's going to be a really key thing there, because it will help with the, limiting that yak from the 49ers, because they're so good at it. And so they might have to play a style of defense that they might not necessarily want to play all season long. In order to win this game, they might have to do something that's a little bit more kind of out there.
From a Steelers standpoint now, Kenny Pickett had a really rock-solid preseason, about as good as you can get from a preseason standpoint. But Matt Canada said it on Thursday. What happened to the preseason doesn't matter anymore. The Steelers had 16 days in between that final preseason game at Atlanta and this first regular season game against the 49ers to keep that level of consistency going. And now Najee Harris doesn't have that training camp and preseason mileage on him like he's had in the past. That was by design. That was by plan. Najee Harris was never going to take a significant workload in the preseason, and he's fully 100% ready to go. From an offensive standpoint, the 49ers, yes, you have to contend Nick Bosa, but there's also really good linebackers on that 49ers defense with Fred Warner, Dre Greenlaw, and then you look at that secondary, should Charvarius Ward play, there's some really decent pieces on that defense, and really what I think the big matchup for the Steelers is going to be on the offensive side of the ball is how they utilize Pat Freiermuth. That's the one offensive player I'm keying on, because Freiermuth and his ability to receive and run routes from the slot last year was excellent. And that goes with Pickett, obviously, learning the offense and learning how to run a pro style, you know, on that level, and then learning how to do checks towards the end of the season. This was a gradual process for Kenny Pickett. But even then, Pat Freiermuth was still one of the best tight ends in the NFL out of the slot. What do the Steelers do in the offseason? They draft some kid named Darnell Washington, who's going to take a lot of inline snaps and is, by the way, going to be a big helper when it comes to defending a guy like Nick Bosa, when it comes to preventing a Nick Bosa from getting to a Kenny Pickett. That's going to be a big chip when it comes to double teaming people. And that's going to allow Pat Freiermuth. And for me, this has a nice 6-catch, 80-yard, 1-touchdown day written all over it for Pat Freiermuth, and his ability to get up the seam, to help separate from those linebackers, to help back those linebackers off, so to speak, and give Najee Harris and Jalen Warren some running room. I think he's going to be a big factor offensively for the Steelers in this football game. And what do the Steelers do offensively? Kyle asks, will the Steelers score 30-plus offensively, or will defensive scores contribute to our points like several games last year? And that's a very key question, because there is that synergy between the offense and the defense that the Steelers love to thrive on. When the defense creates turnovers, the offense is able to get back to work, good field position. They don't need to win the time of possession battle, although it would help. But they don't need to win the time of possession battle to necessarily correlate to a win every week.
Yeah. Scoring 30 plus, if that's for the entire season, I think that would be the number one offense in the league. But even if they scored 30 plus in this game, regardless of whether that's the defense like helping with that, but if they scored 30 plus in this game, that should be a win. Like the 49ers defense is good enough with or without Bosa to not give up 30 points. So I don't know. Hold on a second. I got to bring this up.
Please do.
Damon Brown. I think Washington can block Bosa by himself. Listen, I'm not denying Darnell Washington's ability as a blocker. The dude's already accomplished in that area. Bosa makes tackles, like legitimate left tackles in this league, look silly. There was a play that Matt Williamson highlighted in his war room. I think it was against Washington. I can't remember for sure. But he just flat out like bulldozed the left tackle. Didn't try like anything special. Didn't like try to do this stride or move inside. He literally just bull rushed him and pushed him back into the quarterback and got a sack. It's gonna be that's a challenge. I'll just put it that way. That's a challenge.
And a good point for Mark. The old cliche: turnover battle and special teams will be the ultimate decider. That's going to be a big part of it. But here's the key for me, and Michael words it perfectly. Keys to the game for me: tackle, tackle, tackle. Yeah. That's been stressed all week by everybody that has spoken on the South Side this week. If it sounds like we're talking a lot about the 49ers offense, it's because we are. It's because Christian McCaffrey is as dangerous as it gets in the NFL with the ball. It's because Deebo Samuel can hurt any defense on any level, whether it's short, intermediate, or long. It's because George Kittle is as good as it gets at tight end and has been that way for a while. It's because they have probably the best left tackle in football. Yeah. So with that said, Mike Tomlin saying they love to throw it short and run long, that comes to yards after catch. That comes to getting to the football, 11 hats on the football. Cam Hayward said it. It's going to be an 11-man effort to really take this 49er offense and try to neutralize it as much as possible, which is why I wrote about the other day about the inside linebackers and how important that room is going to be in
this one for sure
within this game. So that to me is the biggest key of the game as well, is if you can limit the 49ers to those yards after the catch and you can keep them limited on third down, always third down, but if you can keep them limited in their chances on third down, then I think there's unlimited potential for what this defense could do this weekend.
Yeah, and listen, like Joseph points out, hey, we got 1-2 and TJ Watt. Like, we didn't really see TJ Watt be himself almost at all last year. Obviously, game one, he was healthy until he, got injured in the right near the end of the game. And then maybe the last two games of the season last year, in the Baltimore and Cleveland game, we kind of saw like, okay, that's TJ Watt. And every other game he played in, it was kind of a shade of himself a little bit. He wasn't well conditioned. He was obviously coming back from two injuries. Not physically 100% there. It takes a while to build that back up. Now we have TJ. He's completely healthy, and Joseph's right. Like, TJ could, just like, we've been talking about Nick Bosa possibly being a game changer, a game wrecker. TJ could go out there, do the same exact thing, and that was going to be another thing that I pointed out earlier this week, but I really want to stress it. TJ is going up against an unproven right tackle in Colton McKivitz. Not saying that he's not up to the challenge for it, but like, TJ Watt has made, just like Bosa can make a lot of tackles look silly, TJ Watt can do the same thing, and he can do it in a number of ways. He can do it with a spin move. He can do it with a stunt inside. He can do it with a bull rush. He can do it with, obviously, that quick bend around the edge. He can do it a number of different ways, and he can even do it, and I think this is one thing that really separates TJ from everybody else, is that he can also do it by batting passes down or even catching passes at the line of scrimmage, like he did to Joe Burrow twice last year. It's just, that could be a really, really big part of this game too, is how does TJ take advantage of that, I would say, favorable matchup, and how does that impact what the 49ers do on offense? Because we obviously know that they're going to throw it short. They're going to get the ball out quick, try to limit TJ's ability to get to Purdy. But if for whatever reason they can't get the ball out as quick, how does TJ wreck this game?
And it's going to be about the depth too. It's going to be about Alex Highsmith as well.
Yeah.
And we're still waiting on Larry Ogunjobi's status for this weekend, which is a point I wanted to bring up.
Yeah.
Larry Ogunjobi, we approached him in the locker room after practice and did not want to talk about his status for this weekend. So
that's not surprising.
So
honestly.
we can infer that because he has been limited all week, at least until Friday, we have not seen the practice report yet, that there is a chance he'll be able to play on Sunday, but his status is up in the air as of right now. And that's just from reading the tea leaves of a Wednesday and a Thursday practice report, injury report, what have you. So Larry Ogunjobi, whether he's in or not, you have to look at DeMarvin Leal. You have to look at Isaiah Loudermilk. You have to look at that depth along the defensive line, even a Keanu Benton, and who's going to play and who's going to take some of those snaps. Even if Larry O is quote unquote limited in the game, there's still going to be a lot of pressure that has to be, taken off of TJ and Alex because of how strong that interior rush needs to be able to get into and kind of force Trent Williams away from, so to speak, away from Alex Highsmith. So, hey, Cam is Cam. And William brings it up. Cam is Cam. Good luck to the guard. Like, having Cam Hayward still is no easy task for anybody. And then you bring in TJ Watt, Alex Highsmith, and by the way, Nick Herbig, like the the defensive MVP of the preseason, who we really haven't talked about much this, last couple of weeks leading up to week 1. Like Nick Herbig, for as strong of a preseason as he had, he's still there. He's still going to be able to get some snaps and take some of that weight off of TJ Watt and Alex Highsmith. So there's going to be a lot of different angles, and a point from Michael here. That's why having depth is huge. The Steelers have it, huge, and it's going to be a thing that the 49ers have to contend with.
Okay, I'm going to kind of fast forward ahead a little bit because Lifted Ones did this for me to Monday's show. If we lose this game, how long until Steelers fans start to panic and scream "Fire Tomlin"? I will say this though: if the Steelers lose this game, like, first off, it does depend on how they look. If they play a really good game and they just come out, they just come out on the losing side of it, whether it's a 1-point loss, a 6-point loss, whatever it is. If they played a really good football game, they just got beat by a better team. That's nothing to be ashamed of. Like, absolutely, like, okay, we wanted to get the win. No big deal. But if there's going to be any game, it's not like they're opening up playing Houston. It's not like they're opening up playing the Raiders. They're playing one of the, the Rams, one of the really crappy teams that are on the schedule for them. They're playing a Super Bowl contender in week 1. I don't care if it's at home or on the road. That's not an easy win whatsoever. Doesn't matter if it's week 1 or week 18. And so if they lose, like, yes, there's probably going to be some fans that are like, oh my God, I can't believe that, they had such a great preseason and then they lay an egg. Well, again, it really does depend on how they play. If they go out there and they just look awful, they score 3 points all game, they get blown out 38-3, something like that, then that's going to really, that's going to take all the air out of that excitement from the preseason. But I don't think this is something that, like,
no,
if they lose, it's not anything to jump off a bridge for.
You overanalyzed it. I'm telling you. First off, any NFL fan, myself included at points, they call it Overreaction Monday for a reason.
Oh, yeah.
Right? They call it Overreaction Monday, and it doesn't start on Monday. It starts if the football game ends at 4:05 p.m. Eastern.
Thanks, Press 7625. Thank you.
Yeah, Press, appreciate that. Please like and subscribe. Please share. That goes a very long way. If a football game ends at 4:05 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, the overreactions start at 4:06 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's everywhere. That's every win, every loss, every tie, every team, every fan base, every reporter, every consumer. Everybody does it. It is something that is completely unavoidable. So with that said, the train will be rolling at 1 minute after the game final whistle comes across. But to your point, this is no easy game to win, and it's not like, anybody's ever going to project a blowout. That's never in the cards. This is very believable as a winnable game for the Steelers as one that they can minimally be competitive in, and one game that, honestly, win or loss, for me, is a really good barometer of where the Steelers exactly are at. Preseason's one thing, the expectations in Latrobe are one thing, minicamp is one thing, but when you're on the field, when you're facing another team, and that team is the odds-on favorite to win the NFC, that's a really good test for week one to see where everything is at, regardless of outcome.
Yeah. Seeing a lot of comments right now about like people like, some people not liking Mike Tomlin or complaining about Mike Tomlin. Listen, guys, I'm not going to get into it. I'm not going to speak for Corey, but I'm not going to get into it. He's not going anywhere. He is not going anywhere. He's not going anywhere. I've talked about it at ad nauseum last year. I mean, especially during that 2-6 start, man, it was rough. He's not going anywhere, guys. He's just not. I've talked about this at length. He's just, I hate to kind of be like that. Who else are you going to hire a guy and everything? But he does so many other things. And I'm telling you, until you watch him conduct a practice, you actually see the real Mike Tomlin, the type of football coach he is when he coaches his practice, coaches his players, how he always has the same message. I think the one thing about a coach, this is the one thing I'll say about it, and I'll turn it to you. The one thing about coaches, especially when it comes to head coaches, and it doesn't matter the sport, is that how does the room react to the message that the coach is sending? And it seems like Mike Tomlin's always sending the same message. We always hear the Tomlinisms. We always hear, it just seems like the same thing over and over again. Yet the players are always buying into it. They're always buying into it. And usually when a coach is in fear of losing a job, or when a coach is about to lose a job or whatever, it's not just about the results on the field or on the playing surface. It's how are the players receiving the message? Mm-hmm. And when a coach begins to lose a room, that's the beginning of the end. And that's not happening there. So that portion of it that's one of the main reasons why Mike Tomlin's not going anywhere. If he begins to lose that room, it's a whole nother story. But everybody, all 53 plus the practice squad in that locker room is completely pro Mike Tomlin, loves him, loves playing for him. It's not changing.
Mm-hmm. Real quick, Press 7625 watching from Budapest, Hungary. That's amazing. That is truly amazing. That awesome, is the worldwide connection that you can establish here at DK Pittsburgh Sports. We are global. Amazing. We are worldwide. And the fact that the 40 of you or so who support the Steelers are able to do this, it's worldwide. The Steelers are probably, if not the Dallas Cowboys, the most recognizable NFL franchise in the world. That's not hyperbole. It's felt here. It's felt there. And we appreciate you tuning into us on a Friday, on a football Friday before the season kicks off. Remember, DK and Ramon coming up in about 35-ish minutes or so, 37 minutes here on DK Pittsburgh Sports for the Ramon Foster Show. That sure will be a good one with their hype, rolling into the regular season kickoff. Chris, we have a few minutes left here on a football Friday.
Yep.
We're going to publish our season picks on dkpittsburghsports.com.
And they're coming out later today.
So without going too far into spoilers and whatnot, what is your overall, I guess, feel? Oh, by the way, my Mike Tomlin take in one sentence, he's a future Hall of Famer. Moving to the next topic. I'm really curious to see not just the ebb and flow of this game on Sunday, because I think kind of to the tune of what we are talking about, this is a really good test for the Steelers to see if all of that preseason hype, all of that preseason building, so to speak, is going to come to fruition now, or if there is still more to be built upon. That's like my main theme for this, and having this as a test for the Steelers in week one, with the 49ers being the opener. And I think having it at home does stand to benefit as well.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I think we're going to feel some maybe closure. Is that the right word? Going into week two, we're going to feel validation going into week two. We're going to feel something about this Steeler team one way or another, whether those are validating feelings about this team or that is feeling something a little bit different, but maybe having a little more closure on what that different thing is going into week two.
Yeah. This is okay. Hold on a second. I gotta shout out here. Peace and Wealth Seeker, San Diego, California here, and Yins are proud. Listen, my wife was stationed in San Diego, and I absolutely love both. Oh, what's the name of the burger place? I cannot remember it now.
Oh, Chris.
Oh man, it just completely no. But Tacos El Gordo is like they're the best tacos I've ever had in my life, and the burger place is Hodad's. Hodad's is amazing. Love Hodad's, love Tacos El Gordo. If you're ever in the San Diego area, please eat both. Yes, thank you, Peace and Wealth Seeker. Hodad's is awesome. But Tacos El Gordo, best tacos I've ever had in my life. And yes, I live in Texas. I don't say that hyperbole or anything. Best tacos I've ever had.
There you go. That's a big win right there.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts before we get out of here on a Football Friday? Somebody mentioned kicker versus kicker. Chris Boswell could be the difference here. Special teams are going to play a huge role in this game on Sunday.
I really do. That's actually a really good thing because Chris Boswell obviously had a down year last year. You know, he had the groin thing, and he had to kick through that, and was on the the short-term IR for a little while, but still a down year. Still, he was very open with me when he talked about it. He was like, this is obviously the results are not anything that I wanted, but J-Dub, appreciate it, man. Thank you so much. Thank
you, J-Dub, for the $5. Appreciate you hitting on so many points in the last cast before the game. Lots of good things to keep in mind, and we appreciate the donation. Thank you so much for that. Sorry to cut you off there, Chris.
No, you're good. You're good. No, that's awesome. I'm just gonna give my prediction, man. I people here, tuning in, they want to hear it. I'm gonna give it to them. I'm giving my prediction. I'm taking the Steelers in this one. I do think that this roster can compete with the 49ers. I do think home field advantage will help out. I think the Steelers will have a bit of a difficult time finding some consistency in the run game, but I believe that they'll be able to get Kenny Pickett on the move enough where they'll be able to have enough plays to get downfield. I don't think this is going to be an offensive shootout. I don't think the Steelers are equipped to do that quite yet. They might need to kind of get into their offense a little bit before I could say, oh yeah, the Steelers could get into a shootout with just about anybody. Not quite ready to say that yet. But I really do have a lot of faith in the Steelers defense, especially in the defensive front, both in stopping the run and getting after the quarterback. I really like what I'm seeing from the inside linebackers. Somebody brought it up earlier. Landon Roberts can also help in a pass rush. He's a heat-seeking missile back there. And I really like the secondary. Obviously, I like the safeties more than the cornerbacks, but cornerback is a lot deeper than it was last year, and the safeties are obviously very, very good. They have the best one in the league back there in Minka. I think that this team can hang with them. And I think they'll get enough of the big plays. And I think TJ Watt, and honestly, when TJ Watt plays, the Steelers win. So I'm going to go on a limb, and I'm going to say the Steelers are going to win this 23-20.
DeBond in the YouTube feed says 35-10 Steelers. He's going for the jugular on that. Drop your predictions in the comments. We'll show them up on the screen here in the last couple of minutes. I am going to catch a lot of feelings on this one. I have the 49ers winning 27-20, and here's why. Number one, okay? I think that this will be a competitive football game. I think this will be a good way for the Steelers to show what they have done in the preseason. I think this is going to be it's a 2.5-point game, by the way, as far as the line is concerned. San Francisco favored by 2.5. So it's closer as far as the experts' opinions. It's, for my money, the second best NFL game on the slate this weekend. I might put Dolphins-Chargers ahead of it, but I think this is going to be a touchdown game one way or the other. Now, the reason why I would put the 49ers slightly ahead of the Steelers is because that middle linebacking room, for as athletic as it is and for as versatile and experienced as it is, I'm curious to see if there's any early game kinks that the 49ers offense takes advantage of. Like, this feels like a game where the 49ers can get ahead early and the Steelers will have to play a little catch-up ball, and that would come with Kenny Pickett and showing that growth from the offense. But I think that there's just a little too much from the 49ers. I think Christian McCaffrey gets his. I think Deebo Samuel has a chance to get his. I think the Steelers will do a good job at limiting George Kittle. No, Ray, I am not a hater.
You're catching feelings, man.
They're not going to go 17-0. If they do, then color me wrong, happily. I would love to be wrong on that.
Hey, somebody's going to have bragging rights on Monday. We'll put it that way.
That's fine with me.
That's
fine with me. Yep. I think this will be a competitive, close football game. And right now with the Steelers, that's what I want to see. I'm not saying they're going to lose, 42-7. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying it's going to be a close, competitive football game. And at the end of the day, I think the 49ers just have a little bit too much for them.
Hey, the 49ers have, like I said, I've stressed it, enough. Like the 49ers have a really good team. They're really, really good. It's a really, really good roster. I don't see this as a blowout either way. I really don't. I think the Steelers are really well equipped to handle them. They do a really good job against quarterbacks that are not quite not the top guys. I'll put it that way. They do really well against those type of quarterbacks typically. And I just, as good as Brock Purdy looked last year, and also probably year 2 growth from him, this defense will cause some fits. They'll probably take a ball away. Patrick Peterson already said on his own podcast that Brock Purdy has some tells. He's already predicting he's going to get a pick. I'm excited to see if that happens or not. But it's not going to be a blowout. I will be shocked if it is. So I really think you could go either side here and be like, okay, I could very well see a scenario where the 49ers win. I could very well see a scenario where the Steelers win. And being a 2.5-point underdog at home is not that big of a deal. Especially when you're talking about a team that's being picked by a lot of people to represent the NFC in the Super Bowl. So
we'll find out in about 48 and a half hours by the time about 4 p.m. Eastern on Sunday kicks in. It's currently 3:30 p.m. Eastern on a Friday, which means we have to get out of here, which means DK and Ramon are coming up in about 30 minutes or so here on DK Pittsburgh Sports for the Ramon Foster Show. Chris and I will be back on Monday to break down a Steelers win, maybe a Steelers loss. We don't know. Regardless, we will be here.
Yes, we will be reacting Eastern, for sure.
3 p.m. Eastern on Monday for the first overreaction Monday of the season. But for now, he's Chris Halicke. I'm Corey Crisan. This has been the Southside Beat. Peace.